Another episode of the book report, the book review, the book corner. Haven't figured out what we want to call it, but this book, the Eagles. Okay, so I should back up. Clearly, I'm an Eagles fan, and clearly, I'm not shy about it. I actually happen to have this hat on, not specifically for this video. It's warmer out today, and I like the hat because it has the mesh. There's a little air conditioning, and I just happened to be wearing this shirt. I was in the airport. I was traveling. I was out of town, and I just threw a t-shirt on and sweats, and this is what was on top. So there you go. And here we are doing the video. So first, I want to say yes, I'm an Eagles fan. Let's get that out of the way. Love us or hate us, we're mostly hated. I understand why. I'm not going to go into history about our fan base. I know what we are. Not all of us are that way, but we all have tendencies to be that way if provoked. Okay, so that being said, I am also a professional football fan. And I definitely love reading about other teams and what they're doing and kind of studying that. And yeah, if life wasn't so busy, I would probably even be more knowledgeable. And I did play fantasy football for a number of years. So people who know me and my family, friends, whatever, holidays come around and I tend to get hats, clothes, stuff. It's great. I have a lot of Eagles gear. And this holiday season, or this last holiday season, and as of this recording, that was like half a year ago, I got this book, The Eagles, and down the side it says the franchise. And not going to sugarcoat anything. I've read numerous books on the Eagles. The players, there's some really good ones out there. I'm not putting any of them down. Like the Encyclopedia of the Eagles, that's awesome, especially the revised edition. And I'm sure after this past season, there'll be another revised edition. So a lot of those books are great, especially, at this point in time, like my earliest memories of the Eagles is the Buddy Ryan era of the late 80s, mid 80s, but really when I was kind of paying attention, it was late 80s and then into the 90s and so forth. And I know my history from my dad being younger, like in his, when I was born, but not old enough to watch yet. So I'm aware of like the Dick Vermeil era, the Ron Jaworski era. So there was a lot of books written, and it's cool to read books today that have, books that have like profiles on players, that historic players, maybe not statistically great players for the franchise, but players that had either an impact or connection with the fans or some significance maybe in a big game where they had one big season or a stretch of games that changed the momentum of the season, whatever. I love those books because what I like is they talk about the player relative to their time, and it gives you an opportunity to kind of think for a minute, like, oh, cool, this was back in 1982 when things were like this, and teams did this back then. Teams didn't have what they have today. So it's really neat. It gives great perspective. Those books are wonderful, and I've read most of them. So when I got this book, I was like, okay, cool, another Eagles book. And in my mind, just being a true Eagles fan, I thought, what is this book going to say that I haven't already read or studied or etc. I was wrong. So the premise of this book is it goes back basically 25 years. It goes back from 2000 to now. And the way it's broken out is really good. It's not just like, okay, so here's the top players of the last 25 years. This book was originally, I think, written. I think it was originally written like in the season that the Eagles lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And this book I think originally was supposed to be about like a Super Bowl season, but that all changed. They had so it was coming off that season and going into the following season where they really had that epic collapse. And if you don't really follow it, they basically were I think they had won 13 games, and then they basically lost the rest of their games, including in the playoffs. So it picks up kind of where that was happening at the time, so it doesn't have any reference to the most recent Super Bowl victory season. But what it does is it profiles not just the players from the past 25 years, but also the executives and the coaches. And it's really cool. Like the first chapter is Jeffrey Lurie, and it's behind the scenes look. I believe Malcolm Jenkins wrote the foreword to the book. I had no idea he was really a really good writer. He writes really well. So it goes through it starts out really with the front office, behind the scenes, and not like this, yes, you can probably get a book on Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman. I've read those books and whatnot. Doug Peterson, he wrote his book. But it really takes you kind of back to like the historic reference to when whoever it was joined the Eagles organization. It was Jeffrey Lurie acquiring a team, what he paid for it, what was going on at the time, the decisions he had to make, all the way to like the Carson Wentz stuff where the wheels fell off with Wentz after an amazing run he had, and what they had to deal with, what Wentz was talking about behind the scenes in the locker room. So there's a lot of like behind the scenes stuff. And quite frankly, as an NFL fan, that's the most interesting stuff to me. I love learning about what goes on behind the scenes in the front office, in the locker room. Because yeah, we can watch highlights and that's what's fun. The sport, the product they put on the field is amazing, it's awesome. But it's kind of cool to see what goes on behind the scenes. And that's what this book really does. And it breaks it down, front office, coaching, basically like all-time players in the past 25 years. Like we don't go back to the Reggie White era. We don't go back to the Harold Carmichael era. We just stick to like 2000 and forward. So you get like the Dawkins of the world. You get Nick Foles. You get Carson Wentz. You get Michael Vick. That kind of stuff. Fletcher Cox, like just this current kind of era, this past quarter century. And that's what's fun about it. It just really goes into that time. And yeah, of course, recently there's a lot of, if you're an Eagles fan, there's a lot to celebrate, even going back to after the 2017 season when they won their first Super Bowl. But you go back to the year 2000, and that's what's fun, because I remember this. I was just graduating college, and the Donovan McNabb, the Andy Reid, the beginning of Andy Reid, and they really turned the tide. They went from like, I don't want to say perennial losers, but like perennial like heartbreak to now they're playing on a much higher level consistently. And no, they never won a ring under Andy, but he got them to the promised land. He got them to be consistently really, really good. So it's cool to go back and be like, oh yeah, I remember being in college. I remember watching those games with my dad. So that's what's fun. So this was a book I had a hard time putting down because it was just really, really enjoyable to read. Again, yes, I'm an Eagles fan, and this video is just not, and this book is just not for Eagles fans. If you are a behind-the-scenes type of person when it comes to professional football, I recommend this book. If this was just like player profile after player profile and you're not an Eagles fan, I would say, probably not for you. But I'll give you an example of other books I have read that have to do with the NFL that I thought were outstanding. When the Saints, when New Orleans, and this is going back some time, won their Super Bowl with head coach Sean Payton, he wrote a book. It was fantastic. It was awesome, especially when it came down to the psychology in the kind of weeks leading into the Super Bowl. Really cool stuff, and that's the stuff you don't see, they don't report on, And then the other book I just recently read last year, and I gave it to a Patriots fan. Excellent book, and I know that this video is not about that book, and I don't have that book any longer because I gave it away. And that's what I try to do, pass it along. Is It's Better to Be Feared. It sounds like a political book. It's not. It's Better to Be Feared, and it's basically the rise and the fall of the New England Patriots. And it takes you back to when Brady was in college, takes you back to when Belichick was an assistant, and the Crafts. It talks about how all the pieces come together and what it was like to be in that organization during that time, and then how it like fell apart. So what I'm saying is, I'm definitely not a Patriots fan, not a Saints fan, but I'm a football fan, and I couldn't put. I read that on the beach last summer. It was a big, thick book. It's Better to Be Feared. I could not put it down, and I was actually reading parts out loud to my dad because I was just like, whoa. And so I would recommend that as well. But if you're looking for a fun read and or a fun, interesting read behind the scenes, a quick read, whether you're an Eagles fan or not, I recommend The Eagles. How the Eagles Became the Eagles is actually the name of the book. Well, it says on the back, How the Eagles Became the Eagles. It says Philadelphia Eagles, A Curated History of the Birds, the franchise, so whatever the name of this book is. But Zach Berman, who, excellent writer, he's known in the Philadelphia area. It's enjoyable to read. And then it even has here, forward by Malcolm Jenkins. That's a great connection to the Saints, right? All right, so let me know what you think. Cool if you are an Eagles fan. If you are not an Eagles fan, that's cool too. I just thought I'd share something that I enjoyed, and maybe you'll enjoy it as well. Let me know in the comments. And certainly if you have a book that I just kind of described about like a behind the scenes type of thing, like it might be interesting to read about the rise and the fall of, say, the Dallas Cowboys under Jimmy Johnson, that era, or maybe the rise of the 49ers under Bill Walsh. That would be a cool book. There's endless ones, really, like the Steelers, from the 70s. That could be a fun book too. If I'm sure those books exist, I'm just not really aware of them. So drop it in the comments if you have any recommendations like that, and I might just pop on Amazon and order that book. And as always, I appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for all the recent subscribers. Eddie and I are trying to get the channel up to 500 subscribers. This is still a young channel, and when I say Eddie, I'm not referring to myself, and I'm referring to my son who contributes to the channel. We both have the same name. So I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you soon.